Hello and welcome to my kitchen. In this video, I'm going to show you one of my favorite go-to dishes when I'm stuck thinking, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? A runny Moong Dal curry. This recipe is so very simple to make and it has simple ingredients you'll generally find in your kitchen. So let's get cooking. You'll need 1 cup or 200 grams of Moong Dal, 1 teaspoon of oil which we'll add when we're boiling the dal, 1 medium onion sliced up which weighs about 85 grams and 1 medium tomato sliced which weighs about 100 grams. For the tempering, I'm using 1 tablespoon of a light olive oil. You can add ghee instead if you're not vegan. 4 to 5 curry leaves, 1 large garlic clove which I'm going to crush up, a half a teaspoon of cumin seeds. We'll also be adding 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of turmeric powder, and a half a teaspoon of ginger garlic chili paste. And if you like it hot, just add some sliced green chilies at the end. So the first thing to do is to look over your dal, make sure there's no foreign particles in there, and then give it a good wash. So here I have my 2.5 quart saucepan with a lid, and this is a fairly large saucepan, but I just want to make sure that I give the dal plenty of room to cook and also just in case it decides to overflow. So I'm going to go ahead and add my dal to this, and I'm going to add 3 cups or 720 ml of water. Then I'm going to bring it to a boil on a medium heat, the number 5. Now, I haven't forgotten to add the teaspoon of oil. What I do is I bring this to a boil, and some of these dals, they create a scum when they come to the boil. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove that with a teaspoon, and then we'll add the oil and let it boil. So you can see all this white scum on top. We're just going to remove that to a side bowl, and then I can add the oil to this. Then I'm just going to add the lid on a jar and let this boil. Now the dal generally takes about 20 minutes to cook through, so we're just going to let this cook, and in the meantime we're going to do the tempering, which we're going to add to this once it's done. So I've moved my Moong Dal to cook to a back ring, and I'm going to cook my tempering here. I'm going to fry up the onions and the tomatoes really well, so it adds a great flavor to my dal. So my pan's been heating up for a few seconds, and I'm going to go ahead and add my oil. Then once the oil's heated up for a few seconds, go ahead and put your crushed garlic clove in there. That just become golden, make sure it doesn't burn, then add the onions. Then add the curry leaves and the cumin seeds. And make sure you keep stirring. Now you might be wondering why I use olive oil instead of just normal oil. I think olive oil gives it a little bit of a flavor, just like ghee gives flavor to your dishes. If you're vegan, I suggest you using olive oil, but not extra virgin because that is really quite strong. Use a light olive oil. So we just want to fry these onions until they're a nice golden color, not too brown. Now that the onions have some color to them, I'm going to go ahead and add the tomatoes and the remaining spices. Then we're just going to cover it and let the tomatoes really soften up. Don't forget to stir the tomatoes every now and then to make sure they're not sticking at the bottom. So by the time your tomatoes are softened, your dal should be almost done. So we're just gonna check it. Oh, and that looks nicely done. Almost there. So my water is running low and I'm gonna need some more water. So I'm gonna add boiling water to this. And let it continue cooking. And my tomatoes are done, so I'm actually gonna turn the heat off. And it did start sticking a little bit, but that's fine. It's just a little bit. So now my heat is off and it's ready for the dal. So my dal took about 20 minutes to cook through. I ended up adding a little bit more water, maybe another cup or 3/4 of a cup worth. And the consistency is just right. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add my cooked tomatoes and onions to the dal, or vice versa. I can add the dal to my cooked onions. I ended up adding my cooked moong dal to my tomato mixture because it did stick a little bit at the bottom and I wanted to make sure I got all that flavor infused into my cooked moong dal just so that it would taste extra good. So now that it's mixed together nicely, I'm going to let it simmer for about another 5 minutes or so. If you think it's too thick, then go ahead and add a little bit more boiling water to it. Cover it and let it simmer. Now I haven't added any heat, like any chilies or anything to this dish, but if you want to, you can chop up a fresh green chili or add some red chili powder to this to give it some heat. I'm going to add a green chili today to kick it up a little bit. And the dal is done. It literally took about 30 minutes to cook from start to finish. It is very, very easy. It's so delicious. It's simple and it's very good for you. There's very little oil in here as well. And best of all, it goes really well with plain boiled rice, basmati rice of course, and or rotis. It's just such a simple, good dish to make if you're ever stuck thinking, what am I gonna make for dinner? I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And check out my website, milhan.com. I've got all my recipes there written and videos and everything. I hope you guys will join me again soon for some more cooking inspiration. What's the matter? What's the matter? Can you smell my treat here, or your treat?